Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Dr. Nitin Chhoda here. I'm slightly under the weather today. Don't worry, it's not COVID. I actually need to get a little bit more rest. I'm usually working nonstop, including weekends. But in this video, I want to go over a couple of really important things. The first is the full approval for the Pfizer vaccine that has now finally come from the FDA and the entire Afghanistan situation. I've had a lot of viewers and subscribers ask about my opinion as far as Afghanistan is concerned, and I'll give you my opinion on that. Also, more importantly, what the full approval of the Pfizer vaccine means to our country, our economy, as well as our money. Welcome to this channel, everyone. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time, and let's get started. Now, I'm actually going to contrast the headlines here on the Wall Street Journal with Fox News, and really interesting how the two differ. Let's get started with the Pfizer FDA full vaccine approval. Now, here's the interesting thing, folks. I want our viewers and subscribers to know that I keep track of all media sources, and Fox News initially said, how can we trust a vaccine that's not approved by the FDA? And now Fox News is saying, how can we trust the whole process when it's so rushed? Can we even trust the whole process to begin with? So if there's any doubt whether the vaccine makes sense or not, hopefully, now it's clear to you that the vaccine does make sense. I actually got vaccinated back in March, and I do believe that getting vaccinated is an excellent idea. And now that we have the full approval for the Pfizer vaccine, let me be as clear as possible about what this could mean. Once the vaccine receives full FDA approval, employers can mandate, they can indeed mandate the vaccine. They'll be less scared of lawsuits. So they'll be more likely to say, hey, let's go ahead and actually mandate the vaccine for workers to get back to. I actually have done another video on our channel, and I encourage you to check out that video. So here's our channel, and I've actually done another video on, can the unvaccinated lose unemployment benefits or actually potentially be fired? So this is that video. If an employer asks you to get vaccinated, it's not a so definitely check out that video, folks. So let me get back to the Wall Street Journal. Now that the FDA has given full approval to the Pfizer vaccine, you can expect more and more employers mandating that vaccine. In fact, the US government, specifically the president, has already required federal workers and contractors to be vaccinated. So the push to get vaccinated has already begun. And now with the Delta variant, I think it's more important than ever to get vaccinated. I got vaccinated, and so I can tell you that this is definitely something that will not only empower employers. Whether you agree with it or not, that's a separate issue. The fact here is, it is going to empower employers to say, hey, you need to be vaccinated, and then that puts the unvaccinated in a very difficult position where, let's say you don't get vaccinated. By the way, there are two reasons why you may not want to get vaccinated, and you could be justified, and I've covered those two reasons here. They are essentially religious reasons and some sort of immunocompromisation. Some sort of, let's say your immune system is compromised, then you may not want to take the vaccine. But now this will actually provide the employers with the rationale, if you will, to mandate vaccines with with more of a legal backing, if you will. Chevron is requiring shots for some workers. New York City mandates vaccines for teachers. The Pentagon requires vaccination, and the stock market is at all-time highs. Now, let's switch gears really quick to Afghanistan, everyone. This is a very complex situation. Before I switch gears to Afghanistan, let me tell you that on the one hand, the vaccine is now FDA approved, but on the other hand, you can see the headline on Fox Business, the big move Biden wants businesses to make after FDA's Pfizer vaccine approval. And clearly, the positioning here is such that, hey, this is forcing vaccines upon us as far as Fox is concerned. But what's interesting as far as Afghanistan is concerned is, folks, this is a 20-year war. The Biden administration has inherited a war that started 20 years ago under a Republican administration. If I go into, should we have gotten into this? Should we have not gotten into this? Should the US be involved in endless wars overseas? Comparing this with Saigon. Oh gosh, folks, that's not going to be something I can achieve in an 8 to 10 minute video. But I'll tell you this, that whichever president was going to pull out of this mess. Doesn't matter whether it's a Republican president or a Democratic president, that president was going to face a lot of heat. That's number one. Number two, was this a botched exit from Afghanistan? Absolutely 100% it was a botched exit. But number three, did the Republicans support an exit from Afghanistan? They did. They had that on their website, the Republican website. They then removed that page. Did former President Trump make a deal with the Taliban, which was effectively a deal to surrender from Afghanistan? Yes. Did the former US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo visit the Taliban and shake hands with them? Yes. So if you're blaming President Biden, then you don't know the full picture. So guys, let's just be objective about this. Was this botched? Yes. Was it going to be something that any president would have ran into trouble with, whether it was a Republican or Democratic president? Yes. Let's be objective about this. The broader question is that the Republicans are playing a game here where they are saying, "Hey, this was botched and blah blah blah," and Fox News, of course, is pouncing on this because the only thing they do is they try and create as much fear and anxiety as possible because that's good for their ratings, and they're creating as much agitation as possible. That's what they do. I mean they're a bit of a joke. But as far as Afghanistan is concerned, please remember this. Could we have done better? Yes. Was this something that President Biden inherited? Yes. It's not like President Biden started the war on Afghanistan. He inherited a 20-year-old mess. Basically, what he inherited was a giant mess. So this is not a simple situation. I've heard so many comments about Afghanistan. I've heard comments from people saying nobody cares about Afghanistan. Nobody cares about that country and its people. And I feel that that's inhumane. I feel that that's being very entitled, and that's downright pathetic to say something like that. Because forget the geopolitical problems, okay? Forget for a second the fact that that America has geopolitical ambitions in the Middle East. We want to maintain a base in the Middle East, not just to fight our enemies in Afghanistan, but our enemies in Pakistan. Forget all of that for a second. There are women, there are children in Afghanistan who are scared for their future. And there are women who are studying to become doctors, and now they don't know if they're safe, if you know what I mean. So this is a humanitarian nightmare, and this is a horrible situation. And I think the best thing we can do is send our hopes and prayers to them. Support just the hopefully the return to normalcy in Afghanistan, which I don't, unfortunately, the reality is I don't think it'll happen. But the one thing I encourage us to do as Americans is not believe the hype and the nonsense from either the Republican Party or Fox News, and also not believe the spin that we sometimes get from the Biden administration about the fact that, hey, we're in touch with the Taliban, and we've pulled out 37,000 people, and some people say we pulled out 25,000 people. This is a mess. But this is not a mess that the Biden administration started. This is a mess that they inherited. Could they have done a better job? Should they be doing a better job? Yes. But this is a mess, and this is a national problem. This is not really a Democratic or a Republican problem. And if you choose to see it that way, then you're being manipulated by the media. And I'm not going to let that happen, not on my watch. That is what the Ignition Time channel is all about. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Please check out our channel. Please take a moment to check out our channel. This is our channel right here, Ignition Time. Check out our channel. Click like, click subscribe, enable notifications. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.